Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So and welcome back to the channel for another episode of Fight Rewind. This time, we're breaking BKFC 62 down with the co-main event of the evening, Jomi Kung Fu Escoboza, going down June 21st at the Hard Rock. Let's go. And yeah, man. Yomi's in the building.
We activated, man.
Loco, ¿qué lo que, my dog? Todo bien?
Dámelo. Estamos bien, estamos heavy. The Platinum Power is active.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's about to go down.
Let me ask you a question, dog. First of all, thank you so much for joining us on the program, man. We love doing these type of interviews in person, bro. It's always easier to do it online, right? But like doing it in person is not the same fun.
Way better energy.
Way better energy, man. But before we get started, bro, let the people know where they can find you on social media.
So yeah, on social media, you can find me on Instagram at my fighter page is Jomi, Jomi _ Kung Fu. And then my real estate page is Jomi, Jomi _ real estate. So it's kind of the same thing, you know, just one is a fighter page, one is the real estate. And if you need a buy, sell, or lease anywhere in Florida, contact me and I'll get you the knockout deals.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great tagline.
See, dog, I told you he was a pro, dog. I see you doing your thing out there, acting, doing the behind the cut scenes with the like bodyguard pose and shit. I see you out there working, dog.
You know, we got to, we're always grinding, and my goal is to try to get into, Marvel, Star Wars, some type of, action movie, it's kind of like
Switch it up.
Yeah, switch it up. So I've always wanted to do that since a kid. So, I've gotten, I've been able to dabble into different music videos and stuff like that. So now, just, trying to get in there.
That's it, man. You know what? You're already in the entertainment business, right? Because we know that it takes a lot to be an entertainer. It takes a lot to be a fighter. And you're one of the best fighters that BKFC has on their roster because of the type of fighting that you bring. It may not be always run and gun where you're running into 1,000 punches. No, but you're out there being smart about it, executing a game plan, and really putting a hurting on dudes, whether it takes 3 rounds, 1 round, 5 rounds, whatever, but you're still putting a hurting on them without taking the damage, dog. That's a big skill in BKFC, man. Tell me a little bit about how your training helps you with that in those fights.
So, yeah, the way that my training helps me in the fights is just, always training with guys that are like a lot more higher level than the competition that I'm going to be facing in the organization that I'm fighting, whether it's striking, ground fighting, or any type of fighting. I'm always making sure that in my training I'm getting, harder work than what the fight is actually going to be. So that when I get in there, sometimes I finish fights with, punches that I'm like, wow, like I didn't even throw it that hard. Like, how did I, finish them with that? And I'm just like surprised. I'm like, wow, damn. But yeah, so, I'm always, sharpening my tools with my teammates and stuff like that, just high level strikers. And when I get in there, everything is just in slow motion.
That's one thing. I mean, I've been doing this for you long enough that I've learned that the guys that we meet at BKFC have a long-standing history of training in a variety of different martial arts, whether it's wrestling or boxing or jiu-jitsu, karate, you name it. What's your early background in martial arts?
So, like, I've always wanted to, do mixed martial arts in general, just learn a lot of different styles, whether it's the wrestling, the striking, Muay Thai especially. But when I first started, I always liked Kung Fu when I was little, so I started off with Kung Fu. I started off with, it was a Southern Shaolin style called Hung Gar.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was
Wu-Tang shit, though.
Yeah. So it was like it's like a very the Southern Shaolin Kung Fu styles are more like aggressive and like coming forward type styles, and like the Northern Shaolin are like more acrobatic, and they do like the spinning stuff and stuff like that. Like the more acrobatic with it. But yeah, so it's like I've always been aggressive in my fighting style since like the beginning, from the Kung Fu stages, and then of course I went into wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, judo, and all that, because I had to learn, mixed martial arts to get into MMA and stuff. When, fought in the amateurs and stuff like that. So, but in the amateurs, one thing I always did was wear the Kung Fu gi, the whole thing.
Nice.
And I always made it look like I was a striker. So then, I got, 3 finishes. It was 2 rear naked chokes and arm triangle.
That's some Dominican shit, dog. Where you show up like extra. No, bueno, you know what? He probably planchado his eyes, kung fu
He
shit.
had it out the night
belts
before.
were ironed and
Pressed
shit.
and permed.
Tu mamá no te dejaba ir a la casa así, dog. You know that.
It was hilarious, man. Because
That's-
like I would just always paint the picture that he has no ground game, and then when they try to take me down, I'll defend the ground game, and then in the fight, it really demoralizes your opponent. Because like in their mind, they're just like, fuck, like I thought this was gonna work. It's not working.
True.
Damn. And then like live action while the person's like in your face hitting you, it's just like it gets really bad.
That's crazy that you mentioned a ton of skills, right, which are very essential in combat sports in general, right? But when we're talking about BKFC, like footwork, right, head movement, being able to twist your body, twerk your body, right, from down here to up here. No Diddy, of course, right?
Working tight spaces.
Exactly, no Diddy, right? But being able to do that and then generate power into it and then learn the skill of boxing, right? Because boxing is what kind of separates everybody in BKFC. If you know how to box, then you're going to do better than often, right? You're going to do well. If you're a brawler, then you better hope that Lady Luck is on your side that night because it's hard to survive a brawl in BKFC, bro. How many fights have we seen end within a round because it turns into a hell of a brawl too quick?
Yeah, no, we've seen, the guys that do have more of that boxing focused background, they know how to stand in there and kind of avoid the damage, which we talked about early on. That's critical to this game, is avoiding the damage. And the brawlers kind of just always keep it coming forward,
right,
and are always taking damage. So it's like, yeah, you might be inflicting, but you're also taking some on. That's not gonna be, conducive to a long, lengthy career, you know what I mean?
Sure. Do you think that that's what you have now at being able to sharpen that boxing tool at a much, older age, where it's not just like, I'm going to try to get strong and throw a bunch of punches. It's just like, no, precise, trying to be precise.
No, facts. It's always, try to be like Mayweather, hit and don't get hit, but at the same time, throw more punches than your opponent, so that way nobody can say you're a boring fighter. Always throw more punches and walk forward, but at the same time, hit and don't get hit. We want to get hit as the least amount of as possible. I don't, I sell houses. I try to find any kind of like movie.
Yeah, you're in front of the camera, dog. You're in front of the camera a lot.
It's like I can't have any scar tissue. Plus, it's like it doesn't matter if you win the fight and you get all cut up, right? Now, when those cuts heal, scar tissue, right? So now, what does it do? Your skin is like thinner. It gets thinner and thinner. The more scars you get on your face. So what happens? What does that happen?
It's gonna open up again.
We got a bleeder.
Exactly. Now, just like a little jab, you're gonna be able to just like scrape somebody, like barely touch somebody, and then boom, opens up again. So
yeah.
That's the one thing that's super important for me, is just try not to get any kind of cuts.
For sure.
What about your hands? Because I see that happen a lot in BKFC, man. It's not just about your face, but what's giving the damage. What's inflicting that damage. How are those fists holding up?
So
Hold the mic up.
So my ring finger on my left hand, I broke that in 2020 in a BYB fight. It was the quarterfinals for the.
That's right. You had told me. Yes, sir.
So that fight, I was fighting a very tough opponent who had way more experience than me as a pro, and I was just landing the straight left really hard that fight. Right, boom, boom, boom. A minute goes by into the second round. I throw it as hard as I can, but I threw it like a naked too, is what we call it, because I didn't throw anything in front of it. I just throw it straight to boom, and then he just like winks, like closes his eyes and goes down like this. So instead of me hitting his eye, I hit his forehead. Ooh. And I threw that punch hard. Like I put everything into it. Like, and it was one of those where it's like I heard the
crack.
Like I heard the something like that.
Oh,
in the middle of the fight. But with the adrenaline,
shout out to Road.
No, you gotta.
With the adrenaline,
Yeah, you don't feel that.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a fucking professional fight, bro.
I retract my fist, and in my mind, I'm like, Diablo, Jomi.
Eso dolió, loco.
Like you put a lot of power into that punch, and you hit him in his forehead, like square in the forehead. Because like, I know the forehead is the strongest bone and stuff. So I'm like, yo, you can't do that again. Like you gotta throw, in my mind, I was like telling myself, you gotta throw something in front of that. So then that was the first minute of the second round. It's 3-minute rounds.
Right.
A minute goes by again, and I start cornering him into like I started
the triangle, right?
And in the triangle, I started like kind of steering him into one of the corners. So I was just like, acting like I was gonna throw a hook or a jab, and then I throw the straight two right down the pipe. Boom, hit him in his eye. He fell, and then he tried to get up, make the 8 count, but then his eye was like too messed up, it was like closed and too cut up, and the ref stopped it right away. But yeah, the fight ended like that. I didn't notice until like I started taking a shower after. Like when I got down, the doctor, as soon as I got down the ring, "Oh, are you good?" I was like, "Yeah," I was hyped up and stuff.
Of course.
Like that. Yeah, I'm good.
Adrenaline pumping, all that.
That's why it's super important that before you leave the night, you gotta sign the insurance paper. You gotta make sure you see the doctor and stuff like that. Always, because if not,
you never know.
Yeah,
you never know, man.
And then I went, took a shower. It started swelling up. I'm like, damn. Like I could barely close my fist now. I'm like, shit. And then, I come down. We had the doctor check it out. He squeezes it. He's like, yeah, go get an X-ray. He signed off on the paper and everything. Go get an X-ray, but I don't think it's fractured because the amount of pressure that he was like squeezing with. He was like, yeah, you wouldn't let me do that if it was fractured. So I'm like, all right, I'm confident and shit. Right? Go, eat Hard Rock pizza after the victory.
Of course, love that pizza.
And then, I go and get an X-ray at the end of everything and stuff before I go home. Get an X-ray at the hospital, and then the lady comes back. They're like, "Yeah, you're gonna need open hand surgery." I'm like, "Oh no!" So I had to get open hand surgery. But my first fight in the BKFC, I was landing my straight left really hard in the fight, right? And I ended up winning, finishing Zion by in that fight, in my debut. So in that fight, if you see this knuckle, the middle knuckle, how big it is, right?
Right.
Now compared to this one,
tiny.
Yeah.
Yo, it's like at least 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters different, bro. Which is a lot if you're talking about knuckle space, right? Yeah, my shit's pretty even, actually.
So, like that, from that fight, I basically gained all that bone because it was normal before that fight. After that fight, like my hands were swollen, especially my left hand was swollen. It was like a lot of micro fractures. So the thing is, when you condition your hands, you create micro fractures and stuff like that.
And they weld together pretty much.
Yeah, so the best way, like when you recover your hands the correct way and stuff, and you do everything the right way, and you let it, heal with time and stuff, all those little micro fractures, they fill in with extra bone. So it's literally like, like it fills in by itself naturally. So
growth in there. So it pretty much like stays in the form of however it broke, but with just extra bone.
It just fills in,
Crazy.
So now it's like my knuckle is just like huge. And I have like a huge club. And then I finished my last fight with this hand. And I didn't even throw the punch hard, and he fell. It was the last punch. It was like 14 punch combination, and he fell on the last punch to the temple. When he fell, I was like, "What?" I was like, "For real? Like, what the?"
All right, magic hand.
You just gained an advantage.
So that's what I was gonna say. Like now, like does that change you as a fighter, right? Because like you're lefty or you're righty.
Well, I'm a natural righty.
Okay.
But I stand lefty on purpose just to
get the jab out there a little bit quicker, right?
I copy that from Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee did that.
Right, infamous southpaw, right? And I kind of prefer that style too, right? Whenever I used to train, just for the hand speed, right? So that means that technically you use your left punch as your KO punch, right? Or at least the punch that's coming with the amount of force because since it's coming from so far back. Yeah. Do you think of I'm gonna cut him, or do you think of I'm just gonna like square this up and land it on his jaw and see what happens?
I'm always aiming from like the eyebrows down, like even below the eyebrows, like from the eyebrows down. I'm always aiming for that, and always just aiming for that, and depending on like where his hands are.
Okay.
Working with the feints and stuff like that. Wherever he drops his guard, wherever I feel like it's an opening, I just attack. Sometimes like I don't even care if there is no opening. I'm just gonna throw in my jab.
Gotcha.
Like I try to be. My goal is to be the most annoying southpaw in combat sports history. I'm gonna get.
There's a lot there. There's a lot out there, dog. Yeah. There's a lot out there.
There's a couple of annoying southpaws out there.
You know what I mean? There's a lot out there. Yeah. But it is a style that you have to dominate in order to really be considered a great fighter. Let's not just say boxer, right? But in order to be a great fighter, because the majority of the guys that you fight are going to be orthodox. So you have to find out that weird dance of like who's leading with the foot and whatnot without having to step or being stepped on and getting caught that way. That's why I say like not a lot of people, especially in BKFC, are able to do that. I noticed something because I watched that little interview you did between the other show and Jared Warren and yourself. It wasn't too heated like I expected, but he presents an interesting challenge, right? Because he fights orthodox. I'm sure you have a ton of experience. He's also a southpaw, you're right. I don't know how much experience you have in fighting southpaw. Maybe is it something that you train for regularly? Is it something where you're like, you know what, I'm going to just try to mirror myself and see what those punches look like? Or how does that training for the Jerry Warren fight, which is for the vacant 185-pound light heavyweight championship, you know, what's your game plan for Jared Warren?
I mean, it's the same thing, the same game plan as that I have for everybody. Walk forward and throw way more punches than they can, you know, than they can think of, than they can react to. That's it. Just literally, that's the name of the game.
What about his power though? Like, is that something that you're conscious of, or you're like, you know what, maybe he doesn't have enough to really put me away?
No, in my mind, anybody that steps in the ring to fight me has the power to knock me out. It only takes 6 pounds of pressure to knock you out, to knock somebody out in
the right spot, right?
It only takes 6 pounds like that. Like, that's one thing that I always have in my mind. I could get knocked out by anybody. It doesn't matter if they're a bum or anything. Like, if they're a sacrificial lamb that you know, that was brought in to lose, like, I'm still thinking like, yo, this guy could knock me out at any second. I have to be like P's and Q's like every single moment. That's why, you know, hit, don't get hit. That's the thing, you know. Hit, don't get hit. Nah, he's a sniper, you know.
Right.
He likes to, you know, like pick his shots and stuff like that, and he's very good with his left. He's strong. Now, if you look at our first fight, he landed his strongest punch, you know, flush a bunch of times because I wasn't moving my head. I was just walking backwards, being too nonchalant, relaxed, and I didn't feel threatened, which was stupid. You know, I'm in his hometown. You're supposed to always feel threatened in a fight. I was just way too relaxed in that fight. And then I was eating all of his shots. I didn't get rocked at any second in the fight. Didn't get hurt at any second in the fight. So it's just like, yeah.
You feel like an opportunity like slid through?
No, of course it slipped through. At the moment that I started like initiating the backwards movement, like I was just walking backwards, like fighting like if I was relaxed, and just seeing the damage that I was doing with single jabs, like I felt how do you say, like I was too comfortable with just that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you were complacent.
You were complacent.
I didn't have no urgency, which was I never had that in any fight, not even in amateur. So
damn.
I hated myself for that. So
what do you think it was?
You gotta. I don't know, man. I mean, there's a couple of things that happened in the training camp that I slacked off on and I didn't do, and you know.
In the lead up to the fight.
That led up to the fight, but it wasn't that it affected me physically. Like, I was good cardio-wise, like, you know, had way better cardio. I threw more punches and did everything. But it was just like the mentality. Like, I felt I was just like too relaxed. Was the problem. Like, I didn't have that killer mentality. Like, all right, I have to be on him, like, no matter what.
So what's like, again, I know I asked you, but like, I feel like you should have a different type of game plan. I know you said you want to walk forward, but like, in the back of your mind, there's a little piece of you say, I want to finish this guy. Like, I want to get this guy out of here ASAP.
Listen, I want to finish every single fight that I have. I want to finish, like, brutally finish. Like, I want to get the most brutal knockouts in combat sports history. That's the goal, always, you know. Sometimes it doesn't happen because, you know.
It's a fight. It happens.
You know, they survive.
Right.
Sometimes they survive, you know, shit happens. But, you know, the goal is to always, you know, create the most damage possible, you know, make the most blood spill, you know, on the mats as possible, you know, and then, you know, put on a show for everybody.
Yeah,
so
man.
That's the goal always. So, yeah, I'm trying to finish him, like, ASAP, so that way, you know, I walk out and be like, yo, BKFC, let me defend that shit ASAP, hurry up, chop, like, I'm not waiting around.
Yeah, and earn it like with. I feel like belts have to be earned, right? Like belts have to be earned with like a knockout.
Never given.
Never like a UD or something like that. You know, like go out there and earn it. You know.
And worst, you know, like worst case scenario, it goes to decision, right? I promise to you, bro, like. Oh my God, bro! If you think his face was fucked up the last fight, bro, and I was just using single jabs like an idiot, like throwing, bro.
I mean, I will say that, Yomi, dog. Like for me, when I saw the replay of the fight, I noticed that, you know, you were a lot cleaner than he was. Obviously, he was completely cut up and stuff like that. But it was like, man, you know, it's tough, like you said, to be fighting somebody else's backyard and expect to go to the judges and be like, all right, I feel confident about this, right? Because we've seen plenty of decisions, both in and out of BKFC, where things don't happen the way that it should be, right? When it's left up to the judges. Now that you're fighting in your backyard, right? You have that kind of taken away from you. You don't have to worry about that. What's the most exciting thing that you're looking forward to about this fight, you know?
About this fight, it's just, claiming the second, belt and creating history, basically. Marking my name in the history books. That's important. It's an early sport.
Yeah.
Only, 5-6 years since they legalized it in the U.S. So if I could mark that, early history and become one of the,
first champions.
One of the first double champs. But, people say champ, but, they only have one title, but it only counts when you have belts in 2 different weight classes. Then you can say champ and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm trying to be like the closest thing to being undisputed, basically.
I like it.
Because in boxing they have undisputed, the 4-belt era right now. So right now it's only really the 2-belt era with BYB and BKFC.
Right.
So I have the number 2 belt. I'm gonna get the number 1 belt. And then, it's like, I'm kind of the undisputed 185.
Come see me.
Come see me, you feel me? And if I have to keep going back and forth and just whooping ass, making sure that no one grabs the belts, I'll do that.
Hey, it is what it is, man. That's one thing that we definitely know that fighters like to do. You got to stay active right now. If you sustain an injury, something, whatever, that's a different story, right? Take your time to heal up. But if we're talking about being a fighter, you want to stay as active as you can, right? And we were talking about it on the walk over here. That 185 division is stacked with talent, stacked with people who could either come up to that weight, right, and fight at a more natural weight, or people who come down and cut and jump in that weight class, right? I think that leads to a lot of potential great matchups for you if you're the one holding the belt at the end of the day, Sure. Talk about being history, man. First 185 champ that BKFC will have, first Dominican champ, right? And representing for your people of Israel too, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a lot for you to accomplish out there, man, and I really look forward to that fight, bro. It's gonna be a great card regardless, man.
Regardless, man. It's crazy, man. A lot of big matchups on there, man. I can't wait, man.
How many people do you think you're gonna have out there? Just people that like personally.
That I know.
You got a big fan base that follows you around?
Kind of, sort of. A bunch of people are gonna come out for sure.
That's what's
more
up.
than the last one because it's for a belt.
Yeah,
this is a big deal, doggy. This is a big deal. Hard Rock.
Exactly. There's gonna be a couple of Dominican flags out there waiting.
That's what I'm saying, dog. I'm gonna hear a couple wiles in the stands.
Hopefully I'll be lit.
Hell yeah. So let me ask you this fun question, dog. I like to keep it light. I'm not gonna ask you what's the drip looking like, right? Because I know you probably want to keep that close to the vest. But I gotta know what's the walking song, dog. I want to know. The walking song is always like, because that's what the fans first hear, and it's like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? And then like, boom, energy drop.
So I'm basically gonna violate for the. It's gonna be hilarious, bro. It's gonna be hilarious, and it's gonna be bad for my opponents too because they might feel, kind of embarrassed to losing.
To that song?
To losing to the Green Ranger
and
the White Ranger because that's the goal. That's the goal. That's the themes for winning the belt and
defending the belt. Damn, dog, I like that. Damn, you see, dog, 90s babies, dog.
Bro, now you remember when the Green Ranger first came to the Power Rangers, right? You remember when he first showed up?
Yeah,
right?
He was the bad guy.
He was whooping their ass for like
kicking
5
everybody's ass, right?
5 episodes straight, he was whooping everybody's ass until you turn good,
Yeah.
So
that's
I'm coming in,
awesome,
I'm coming
dog.
in, and then after I win, I'm summoning Dragon Zord.
What?
Pa que lo sepa.
Yo, how you gonna pull? I don't even want to wait till I don't want to spoil it on camera, dog. You guys already got enough. You already got enough. Thank you, Jomi.
Just know that the Dragon Dagger is gonna be on deck.
On deck,
and I will be blowing the flauta.
Ooh. That's a show you're not gonna want to miss. I mean, how else do you celebrate being the first light heavyweight champ of BKFC, dog?
I might have to get some ooze for this occasion.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll wear Power Ranger shirt on the bottom. People like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't worry about it.
You don't know. Planned.
You don't know, man.
That's what's up. Well, we're excited, man. We can't wait.
Super excited, man. Super excited, bro. And I know you're gonna fucking bring the house down, dog. We're so happy that you were able to join us and do this, dog. We're very thankful. Absolutely, bro. Ya tú sabes, tu casa aquí, mi hermano. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm waiting to see one of my peoples get up and be like, you see, we can do whatever. It's not just baseball. You know what I mean?
Hey, the Plátano's gonna be on deck in the ring. Too,
on deck, man. Let's go, man. We're gonna get it rocking out there, man. We're gonna get it rocking out there, man. But let the people know where they can continue to follow your journey, man. Hit you up for some real estate.
Yeah, man. So for real estate, you can just follow me on Instagram, JOMI_real estate. And then on there has the link to my website as well. So, on my website, you can fill out what you're looking for, whether it comes to buying or selling in Florida. And then, and then it automatically contacts me and I get all the information and all that. Or you can hit me up directly, up to you. And then for my fight, all of my fights, you can follow me on Instagram, JOMI_Kung Fu. And that's where you see all the action and then all the funny memes and good food.
And great, for sure, good food. Yes. And amazing training, man. You got a hell of a camp behind you, bro. And we're definitely rooting for you here on Sports with Soso, man. No doubt. You guys know what to do. Hit that like button, drop a comment, let Yomi know how much you guys like this interview, and hit that notification button so you guys get notified when we drop the post-fight interview June 21st at the Hard Rock for BKFC 62. It's your boy Soul for Joel. Till next time, peace.